Here in this tutorial, we're going to cross-check the method. You know we copied and pasted the method for this, so we're just going to cross-check that everything works well. But before then, I want us to go and fix something we did in the routes. In the route, remember that we copied out the countries, list of countries outside the auth method. We want us to put it right back in. I just used it as a demonstration. So the user must be logged in to view this. Then the next thing we're going to do is to make sure that the user has to be an admin. You can do that on your own, or we can do that a little later on. Okay. So now let's check out the add function. So first of all, we'll go to the controller, countries, go to app, countries controller, then countries, and that opens up here. So we look at the add function. The add says response is post, and then name and code. Okay, name and code must not be empty. Cool. So then it has validation. If the validation fails, it will throw an error and redirect you to the countries add page. Cool. And then if it worked, so we need to have this as a name and this as a code, and then we don't need user ID and stuff like that. Okay, so we are grabbing the name field from the form that is coming in. We're grabbing the code field from the form that is coming in, and we are creating it. And then the add message, success, country added successfully. Cool. So I can just make this a capital letter, and then redirect to country view with the ID of the new added country. So we can, after adding a country, we are redirected to view it. Okay, and this one says, you know, this is all in an if statement saying that if it is post, which means if the form has been submitted. Otherwise, if the form has not been submitted, just render the view like what is happening here. The form has not been submitted, so the view is rendered. So as you can see, the view is still saying create new post, which is not proper. It should be create new country. So what we'll do is we'll head right back to the view just to cross check that the view is okay. So we'll go to the views, countries. We're looking at add. So in the add, everything about post, we remove it. So here is supposed to be create new country, and then this is supposed to be country created. We don't need the date the country was created. It's something that just happens once. So the next thing we're going to look at is remember that this is basically bootstrap code. So we're looking at just the start of the form. In raw PHP, this is how forms are created. So you have path for posts add. So we're not, the path is countries add, and the method of the form is post. Now if we go back to our route file and go to countries add, if somebody visits countries add as a post request, you understand? So we're trying to make a push request to countries add. So when we go to our countries here, this form is making a post request. This is countries.add. It's making a post request to it. Okay, so that's what this form is doing. And then inside it, we have the first form field. The first form field here that is saying enter your title. That's what we're looking at right here. This first form field, input text, form control. The placeholder is saying enter your title. We don't need a title. Enter the country name. Enter the country name. That's what we need to have. If we refresh it, you see that it has changed. Our effect has changed so far. Create new country. Enter the country name. Cool. So far we are good. We keep working it down. We see that. So we're looking at errors.name. We're working with country name. So which means .name. Errors.name. So this is basically saying if there's an error, pop up an error under the form. So if this was left blank and we submitted it, an error will pop up here. So that's what this particular section of the code is checking, if there is an error. So but the error has to be with a name. Alright, so let us look at the input field. Input field says name, title. No, the name is name. That's it. Name. Okay, remember that when we submit this form in our controller, we are grabbing the name with using request get param. You know, it's submitted via post request, and then to get the value of the form, we'll say get param. That means the name field here has to be name. Okay, and we have pretty much sorted it out. I can just remove this and make it name. Okay. So the next one we look at is the next form field. Is supposed to be code, country code, and as you can see, we don't need this, the text area. So I'm just going to delete the whole text area that we don't need. We don't need the text area. Instead, we need the country code. So I'm just going to duplicate what we have here for the country name. So we just have to have a country code. So in the country code, we rename this to code, error.code. Rename this to code, error.code. Rename this to code, error.code. Alright, and then finally I can just say code. Alright, this should be like country name or something. This is not really important, but it's just for the CSS. So we have this, enter your country code. Okay, and the name should be code. So this pretty much sorts the two forms for us, which means if we come back and refresh, instead of this text area, we'll see two forms like this, as you can see, country name and country code. Very good. And they both submit to this. So this CSRF field, what it does is it inserts an extra two fields for you. So if we come here and inspect the element, those two fields are for security. So CSRF, according to raw PHP, it automatically gives a security field to your form so that somebody cannot hack your site from another site. So it's cross-site request forgery. So if you look at the code for this form, you see that there's an input, all right, for the name, and there's an input for the country code. Then there's a button to submit. Then under that button, there's a hidden CSRF name. There's a random code it generates. Then the value generates another value. So it's only this form, this particular form, that can submit the contents of this form. So somebody cannot hijack it from somewhere else. It is a security feature in raw PHP. All right. So now we've sorted this out, we can now try and create a new form, a new country. So I'm going to change this back to what it was. So what country do we create? Abracadabra. Country code ABCDDA. We'll delete it later on, so this is just for test. So what we have is submit. Remember, we've not worked out the view, so we might see an error because the next view is supposed to go to, there's an error. Okay, country column not found, updated that. All right. So one more thing is that Laravel automatically tries to update two fields. The Laravel ORM that we're using is automatically looking for two fields in your database, which is the created at and updated at. All right. So we're going to just disable that. Whenever you have this kind of error, just look at the error saying unknown column updated that. There are two ways we can do that. We can just, as you can see right here, it's saying insert into countries, name, code, then automatically Laravel is adding updated that and created that for you. Two different fields, but we don't have it, we didn't create it, we didn't just want to create it for our own purposes. So two ways to solve it: you can create these two fields automatically and Laravel will handle it, or you disable Laravel from doing it. So to disable it, we'll just go to the model, country model, country.php, and as we have protected field label, we can just have protected timestamp false. So this sorts it out. This should be public, so that Laravel doesn't automatically do that for us. So it shouldn't check for these extra two fields once the timestamp is false. All right. So to do that, we have to refill this form. But notice what happens when we're trying to reload this form. If we click on reload, that CSRF error will kick in, as you can see, failed CSRF. So it cannot work because we must have to submit this form from its form. Somebody can just hack from nowhere. So we'll just do abracadabra. So whatever country, A, B, C, D, whatever. Okay, so this is the country code and this is the name. So if we click submit, it's supposed to take us to view. And oh, this time is my bad. We have another error because the length of data we entered for the code field is too long. That means if we check our database and look for the name code field, it's taking only 2 values for it. Alright, so we can just extend the values or we can just put 2 values. So I'm just going to forge 2 values. So we have right here, we go back, try one more time. Abracadabra. I can call it AZ. QZ. I'm trying to use a code that has not been used before. Then something else you need to understand is that we might see an error after submitting this because we've not worked on the view page, because after submitting this it's supposed to take us to the view page. So if I click submit and takes us to the view page, okay, country added successfully. So we actually did a nice thing. So in the next video we'll just work out this view so that our countries will display. Alright, so thank you very much. See you in the next video.